Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Eddie, and honestly, I wasn't actually considering doing a series like this season, but I figured that I don't really have anything else going on, and I mean, there's a big, juicy, I would almost say a little controversial, and I guess just a show that there's a lot to talk about this season. So yeah, I guess we better get started on that then. So, a little rundown of what I'm watching this season, other than Rent a Girlfriend, obviously. First off, I'm watching this anime called I Know Identity. I think it's called The Gene of AI in English, and I've got an interesting relationship with that anime. I'll probably talk a bit more about it when the season ends, and I get to talk about it a bit more in detail in its own individual video, but it's both very good and very bad. I don't know if that makes any sense to you all, but there are elements of the story that's very good and very bad. Overall, I feel like if we're talking about stories about AI, Vivy is still better, but there's a lot of topics that this anime touches up on that isn't really present in Vivy as well. Also, the author of this anime apparently wrote it back in 2015, meaning that the man is an actual prophet. But I digress. Another anime I'm watching is Atelier Ryza. And I know that's a video game, and I do intend to play it someday. But Atelier Ryza, it just looks really good. I really, really, really like the OP. It's absolutely adorable. It's absolutely cute. It's just very wholesome. I like it. The third anime, other than Rent a Girlfriend, that I'm watching is The Duke of Death and His Maid Season 2. So yeah, that's the 4 animes I'm watching, and I'm considering adding one more, The Reign of the Seven Spellblades, which honestly, I know you shouldn't judge something by its cover, but the cover looks kind of cool, so I'm like, maybe I should watch it. I'm considering watching it. That's all I have to say. So yeah, those are the other animes I'm watching this season. Honestly, not much else to say. If I start watching Seven Spellblades and I look at it, I'm like, oh, but damn, that's kind of cool. I might regret doing a review on this, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, but again, I digress as usual. Rend a Cringe Season 3 is finally out, and I'm glad that I'm able to review this on time. I'm able to review this episode by episode. I'm sorry I wasn't able to review the first 5 episodes. Each episode came out, but honestly, you know how this anime is. All the episodes can kind of be summarized sort of similarly. So yeah, but before I get right into that, if to any of you that are not subscribed yet, make sure to please like and subscribe the video. That way you could get more content like this. You could get more me ranting about Rent a Girlfriend or whatever anime I like or don't like. So yeah, with all that out of the way, without further ado, let me tell you what exactly I thought about the first 5 episodes of Rent a Girlfriend. And before I get started, I will have to tell you, due to the nature of this series, there's not a lot of development. There's not as much development as you would expect out of 5 episodes. This is partially due to the fact that a good chunk of the episode is always taken up by Kazuya simping for Chorizo. And if you remove a lot of those elements, Kazuya becomes, like, the episodes become a lot more slimmed down. And as a matter of fact, I've also heard someone say, part of the reason we hate Kazuya so much is because he's such a simp, because he's such a pathetic simp. But if we actually take a step back and look at Kazuya and compare him to the other neat protagonists, he's actually not that terrible. As a matter of fact, if we just cut out a lot of the horny dialogue, just cut out a good chunk of him simping for Mizuhara, then he actually becomes a lot more tolerable. I feel like we're finally seeing this in action the most in this final season, or not this final season, in this season right here, though. Because in this season, we've got a lot of stuff. Okay, so first off, where do I unpack? Most significant change, besides Kazuya's very significant development, is that there's a brand new character named Yaemori, who is absolutely fucking amazing. I know I said in the last review I did of Rent a Girlfriend that I like Mami because she's the agent of chaos. She's evil, and we love to hate her. That's essentially what I say. We love to hate Mami. She's the one that has been driving most of this plot forward. And we also like Sumi. Sumi, who is actually a very sweet girl, But the problem with both Mami and Sumi is that they're not overly relevant. Yaimori, on the other hand, is very relevant. This girl takes the best elements of both Mami and Sumi and combines them together. She's a good person too. She's a pretty cool girl. I just really like her personality. She's very, how do I put it, lively. By the way, Sumi and Mami have both shown up in this season so far. We've seen a tiny piece of Mami, basically, I guess, just sort of overlooking Kazuya and Yaimori talking to each other in, I think, the first episode. And we also got Sumi in the third episode as they handed out pamphlets. So, yeah, there's that. That. being adorable as usual, Mami being sus as usual. But they haven't been all that active thus far. Because the real goat of this series, of this season, not series, probably the series too, but of this season is Yaimori. She is the GOAT, okay? Absolutely amazing. It's honestly, if she'd showed up in, say, season 1, I feel like she would be well regarded as one of the best characters of the show. And the reason that there's not a lot of content about her out there right now is because a lot of people have actually given up on Rent-A-Girlfriend and have probably given up on it as early back as season 2, which is a real shame because I came into the season expecting the usual Rent-A-Girlfriend degeneracy. But I was pleasantly surprised at how actually decent it was, how actually decent this anime is right now. Like, it's crazy. It's actually pretty good. I suppose I should have known. After all, a lot of manga readers have said that this is the best arc. I've heard a lot of manga readers say that this is the high point of the series. This is the moment when the series is actually pretty good, and that it's all downhill from here. So, yeah, I probably shouldn't get my hopes too far up. Kazuya is going to revert to his old season 1 self, and just the story's gonna stagnate. That's what's gonna happen. It's inevitable. We all know it's gonna happen, but as of now, I'm just so pleasantly surprised at how different the season 3 Kazuya is compared to, say, season 1 Kazuya. There's been so much character development, and I feel like it's actually pretty decent right now. Again, Kazuya's actually doing something. He's actually proactively getting out there and making his own film. I'm gonna get to that in a moment. He's making his own film, that's a huge achievement right there. That's a huge achievement. This puts him way ahead of all the other generic neat protagonists we've had in the other animes. Heck, I think it puts him ahead of me, and I'm the one that actually wants to be a movie director when I'm older. So that's how I don't know how it feels to be outshined by Kazuya, but here I am, folks. That's the point I was making earlier about Kazuya, though. I feel like a lot of people would actually like Kazuya better if we were shown Kazuya's internal thoughts less, because that's part of what makes Kazuya so pathetic. And now that we actually get to see a bit more of what Kazuya is like, and I suppose this is why Sumi also likes him, because the more I think about it, from the girl's perspective, he's an awkward guy, but he's not the worst. I mean, he's still pretty terrible, but compared to some of Kazuya's friends, for example, right? Kazuya's not, from the outside, he doesn't look as pathetic. He doesn't look as pathetic as he actually is. I mean, he's still pretty pathetic. The fact that he simps that much and gets that horny is kind of lame. And I'm a pretty horny fellow myself, so that's saying something. I don't simp. That's not something I do, or at least, I mean, I ironically simp from time to time, but I don't like unironically simp for someone and put them on a pedestal. That's just not something you should do. That's not right. And the reasoning behind him making the movie, there is a hint of patheticness in that too. The whole way the movie is set up kind of reminds me of that. Kazuya set up the movie so he could have Chizuru in a movie, and basically the crowdfunding was all about, please, let's get Chizuru into the movie, which that's not how filmmaking usually works. You usually have an idea, like a story idea, a script, or some sort of like idea that you write down into a script, feed that into a machine, and then, you take whatever actor or actress fits the roles best. The story comes first, casting usually comes a bit later, but Kazuya had it a bit backwards. He put Chizuru first and then said, let's form the script around her. So I do admit that is a little backwards, but still, dude, this is This is insane. And I gotta say, it's all thanks to Yaimori. Yaimori is actually pretty cool. Almost as cool as a fish. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Maybe she's cooler than the fish. I'm not sure. I'm not good at comparing these sorts of things. But Yaimori is unironically really, really good. She's also a really good wing woman. Like, the way she's been, I guess, connecting Kazuya and Mizuhara all together, she's actually doing things pretty well. So Yaimori is the MVP here. I do admit, I think she went a little bit too far in today's episode. Or, you know, it's not today's episode. It's like a couple days ago from where you guys are. But in episode 5, Yaimori basically tells Ruka that, oh, there's no filming today. And since all the other staff members have left, because, you know, there's only one scene left, and this is a fairly easy scene to film, Yaimori basically decides, all right, since you guys are going off to the countryside in order to film this final scene, I'm gonna leave you two to film it by yourselves. Ruka and I'm gonna lie to Ruka, and we're just not gonna go. So, yeah, I gotta say that's going a little too far. But still, Yaimori is doing a lot for Kazuya, and she's significantly helped push him to make this movie. So, like, yeah, all the cringy Kazuya moments aside, Yaimori is great. And I feel like I know why. Yaimori is a person, she's not pathetic like Kazuya's friends, but she's a normal person. She's not normal, obviously. She's pretty weird. But, like, normal in the terms of, like, you know, like, normal. Not, like, dead normal. She's normal enough, and yet she's also got a platonic relationship with Kazuya. Like, we need more of that, you know? More of those platonic relationships. We don't have that with the other 4 girls. Even Sumi, who I absolutely love, actual waifu material right there, falls in love with Kazuya, which I just think, I mean, we can't have that platonic relationship. We can't have that banter. We can't have that, I guess, casualness. Because in order to get to that degree of casualness in a romantic relationship, you need to actually be dating one another and, like, be pretty comfortable with one another. And that's usually where the anime ends for most people. For most animes, it usually ends when the couple gets together. So you guys probably get what I'm saying. You guys get what I'm getting at here. Also, that scene with that episode 4 with Umi was super weird. I don't really know what the point of that was. I don't think Umi's a terrible guy, but I mean, and sure, he did lie to Chizuru a little bit, but I don't think he's a terrible guy the way most people are saying. He's not a terrible guy. But I digress. But yeah, that's basically where we are right now in the show. Kazuya and Chizuru everything else is done. Everything else is done. They just need to film the final scene, and they're headed off to they're headed off to this place all by themselves to film that final scene. Next episode probably isn't going to have too much Yaimori in it. I know Yaimori has been an absolute goat thus far. I'm a little worried that the anime is going to relapse back into some of the more cringy moments without her, but I mean, the writing thus in season 3 has been pretty good so far, so I hold out hope. I hold out some hope. Oh, 2 final comments. Ruka, I know she's a pretty bad person, but she's cute. She looks like Subaru. I still like her. And Chizuru is a bit of an enigma. She's kind of, I know that she's kind of a Mary Sue, but she's not terrible. Honestly, she's been pretty human these past couple episodes. And I've also heard someone say that Chizuru is just as bad as Kazuya in terms of, I think it was a manga reader, but I think someone said, so don't take my word for granted, but I don't know if they're telling the truth or not, but someone said that Chizuru is just as bad as Kazuya in terms of this indecisiveness, and the only reason we don't get to hear any of this is because Chizuru's head is an enigma. We don't know what she's thinking. So yeah, that's oh man, that was an absolute mess. That was a mess of review. But yeah, that's all there is to say about this episode today. So yeah, that's all there really is to say about these 5 episodes. For 5 episodes, there hasn't been that much content covered. The pacing's pretty glacial because of Kazuya's constant simping, but despite that, I have to say, first off, we made progress at all in Rent a Girlfriend, and since the standards are pretty low, that's something. But two, the progress has actually been pretty good. Especially in episode 5, Kazuya was surprisingly real. I could actually relate to some of his concerns, like, as he looks up and he's like, oh, Chizuru is this awesome actress that's been doing, like, that's in a movie and stuff, and what am I? I'm nothing. And that hit really close to home for me, because what am I doing, guys? Like, what am I actually doing with my life? That's why I have to say, I really like this Season 3 Kazuya. He's grown a lot, and not only has he grown from his Season 1 self, but he's actually ahead of many, many neat style anime protagonists. So that's something I actually have to applaud. Rent a Girlfriend, actually not that bad now. I know the anime is gonna relapse. I know the story's gonna relapse. It's inevitable, right? We've seen the memes, we've seen the shitposts. We know it's gonna happen. That infamous scene, it's going to happen someday. But that day is not today. And right now, the story's actually pretty decent. Well, I guess that's all there is for these last 5 episodes. Again, as I said earlier in this episode, if you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't done so already, and smash that bell. And I gotta say, that's probably it. The sky is up, and you guys are awesome. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually looking forward to next episode. See ya.